100 days, a highly anticipated solar eclipse will fill the American skies from Oregon to South Carolina. The last time a total eclipse appeared across this many states was nearly a century ago. Astronomers and researchers are now preparing for a rare chance to collect data on the sun's outer atmosphere. RT's Brigida Santos has more from Los Angeles.
This summer, on August 21st, millions of Americans will get a chance to see one of nature's most mysterious wonders, a total eclipse of the sun. Michael Zeiler, an expert in geographic information systems, describes the Great American Eclipse as a scene of unimaginable beauty. He runs a website dedicated to the upcoming event and says a solar eclipse takes place due to sheer cosmic coincidence.
The sun is about 400 times larger than the moon, but the sun is about 400 times further away than the moon. So as a result, they're just about the same size in the sky. And so we have the very happy coincidence that the moon just covers the sun perfectly so that we can see the sun's outer atmosphere, its corona.
The last time a total eclipse swept the continental United States was in 1918, nearly a century ago. Researchers say they plan to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime event.
Solar physicists know that the temperature of the sun's surface is roughly 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But the corona is about 1 to 2 million degrees Fahrenheit. And so that's a big difference. It's counterintuitive that the temperature would increase as you go away from the sun. So there's a big mystery about that.
Zeiler advises skywatchers to enjoy the moment and pay close attention because the eclipse will only be visible for about 2 minutes and 40 seconds before disappearing.
The eclipse travels across the nation from Oregon to South Carolina in 93 minutes. Those 93 minutes gives astronomers the opportunity to take a very detailed look at the sun's corona as it changes and evolves.
During that time, the moon will completely cover the sun so observers can safely look at it directly with the naked eye. However, experts at NASA recommend wearing solar viewing glasses.
People can expect to see the most amazing sight of their lifetime. Not only does the sky suddenly turn dark, about the same darkness as a deep twilight, and that they'll be able to see the planets and the brighter stars. But they'll see where the moon is, the blackest black that they've ever seen in their life.
NASA has posted an interactive map online for viewers to find out what time the eclipse will be observable in its 70-mile path. In Los Angeles, Brigida.
Did you know an asteroid recently missed colliding with us here on Earth? I didn't. A space rock as big as a 10-story building with a speed of 9.9 miles per second could have crashed into us, but slipped past at the very last moment. To talk more about that, we're joined now by Eric Edelman, an astronomer from SLU Observatory. Eric, as far as I know, asteroids pass by very close to Earth on almost a daily basis. Why is this one making headlines?
Yeah, this one is a bit of a surprise to us. I think that's the reason why so many people are talking about it, because we did discover this asteroid. The first time we observed this asteroid with telescopes was on the 7th of this month. And when it passed closer to us than the moon, that was 2 days later. That was its close approach on the 9th. So 2 days pass, and then it has its close approach. That's not a lot of time. At least, sort of to my mind, it brings up, the sort of a similar scenario of someone all of a sudden breathing down the back of your neck. You didn't realize they were creeping up behind you, but all of a sudden they are right there. And it's the same sort of feeling, like we have this asteroid that's just immediately right there. There's not a lot of time to do much about it. Luckily enough, this one wasn't heading directly for us this time, but it sort of exposes sort of a vulnerability that we have, a little bit of a blind spot that sometimes we don't see them until they are right nearby, and the potential that can mean for us in terms of preparing for anything that is on a collision course for us maybe is why this one's being talked about a little bit more than others.
You said it was closer to us than the moon. Can you describe exactly how close it was, give viewers some perspective?
Oh, absolutely. So the moon is on average about 240,000 miles away from us. Cut that one in about half. So this one's about 120,000 miles away when it made its absolute closest approach. So this is amazing because most things in astronomy are not really digestible on a human scale, though I would say 120,000 miles is. Maybe somebody has driven that far in their car over the course of a number of years. But anything really beyond the moon, when we're talking about those distances, we're talking in terms of tens or hundreds of millions of miles, unfathomable distances on a human scale. So the fact that we can comprehend this number, that in itself is just tells us how much closer this gets than a lot of other things out there in space.
Can you talk about how concerned astronomers are about the potential future collision with an asteroid, if that's a risk we should be taken seriously? And then also, what would happen if an asteroid of that size ever did hit the Earth?
So this is a big conversation that I think a lot of astronomers are having right now in both private and public organizations alike. We have NASA that's working tirelessly to try and identify and track as many of these asteroids as possible. We have organizations like B612, private organizations by the ex-astronaut Ed Lu. He founded that one. They're trying to work toward making solutions for tracking these asteroids as well. It's a very big conversation because it is something that has a potential there, not a huge potential for worldly destruction, really. We have most of the asteroids that are sort of an apocalyptic size. We know where they are, we know where they're going, and that's pretty good. But we're still working on finding some of the smaller ones, like this asteroid, which, if it, say, were to collide with us, there are a lot of variables involved, including where exactly it was colliding on Earth, what the angle of impact was, what it's composed of. But in terms of its speed and size, it's sort of comparable to the sort of issue that happened over Chelyabinsk with that meteor a couple of years back, where it exploded in midair. It didn't actually reach the ground, but even so, the shock wave from that explosion being as powerful as the Hiroshima bomb 10 times over, tens of times over, this shock wave, it reached the ground and sort of messed with a lot of infrastructure there. The most injuries coming out of that, there were over 1,000 injuries from that explosion, were because of some of the shattered glass that was was hurting people there. So even when an asteroid doesn't actually reach the ground, it can still mean bad news for people in the local region. So even though it may not destroy our entire planet, it's still something that a lot of people are concerned about in terms of it catching us unawares and harming our populations.
This is one of the most fascinating things to me about space because because something that can directly impact us right here on Earth. So I could talk to you more about it. We're unfortunately out of time, but I'd love to bring you back, talk to you more about asteroids and everything that's going on up there in space. Eric Edelman, SLU astronomer, thank you so much for your time.
The oft-contested designation of Pluto as the 9th planet is back in the news again today. The California Institute of Technology published a study claiming they have discovered a true 9th planet beyond Pluto. RT's Manila Chan joins me now in our Los Angeles studio. Manila, what's the deal with this new celestial body they found, and really what becomes of poor little Pluto now?
Hey there, Simone. Good to see you. So a lot of Pluto fans are justly annoyed again today because the scientists over at Caltech have come across something that is beyond the outer limits of little Pluto that they believe to be evidence of a very, very, very large planet. And by that, it's something like 5 to 10 times the size of Earth. Now, they're not entirely sure just yet because they didn't exactly discover this thing. Right now they're dubbing it Planet 9, but what I mean by that is that they can't exactly see this thing from a telescope or anything like that. Instead, they are using data about how other objects as far out as Pluto are reacting and moving out of alignment, getting out of its way. So data like that actually suggests a heavy gravitational pull, which primarily comes from things that are qualified to be called planets. Now, that said, poor tiny little Pluto has been demoted to a dwarf planet because not only is it small in size, but it also really has no gravitational pull, or as the astronomers at Caltech say, they say that Pluto doesn't have the ability to move things out of its way, mostly as it orbits the sun. And they say that's what the new criteria is for something to be considered a planet.
Aw, well, poor little Pluto. I always feel bad for that little guy. What sort of effect, if any, will this new Planet 9 have on our existing models of our solar system?
Well, for now, we can pretty much leave all of the textbooks alone. You can leave all of your posters alone. We can leave all of the 5th grade solar system diorama projects alone, because this study right now is really just all theoretical. The scientists don't actually have any hard evidence, no concrete evidence of Planet 9's actual existence just yet. But they do have 2 giant telescopes on 2 different continents searching for the physical evidence of this thing's existence. Right now, the best that they can say is that something really, really, really big beyond Pluto exists, because space rocks are moving out of the way, as well as it's causing misaligned positions among the outer planets. The orbit of other celestial bodies seem to be responding to something. What that is, nobody can actually confirm just yet, but the critics of this study say that it's possible that this large body is simply an ancient core of a gas giant that was ejected out to the farthest reaches of the solar system thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And it probably doesn't even get to reach the closest approach of the sun, but maybe once every 10,000 or so years. So feel free to hang on to your solar system map, Simone.
Well, it's already changed since I had a solar system map. RT correspondent Manila Chan reporting from our Los Angeles studio. Thank you.
Extinction is underway. Earth's past extinctions have often associated with sudden catastrophic events or drastic climate changes. But according to the research, the current mass extinction is largely caused by humans. RT's Trinity Chavez has more.
In the last 500 years, there have been 5 mass extinctions where many species rapidly die off, disappearing forever. Now scientists are warning that we are in the midst of a 6th mass extinction and humans are to blame.
We are now moving into another one of these events that could easily ruin the lives of everybody on the planet.
The study notes that human overpopulation, size, and growth as some of the driving factors behind the destruction of species on Earth, which is having a negative impact on ecosystems. Now the scientists are warning if certain measures are not taken, wildlife faces further biological annihilation and the window of opportunity is closing rapidly.
When you look at a conservative estimate of how fast mammals are going extinct today, it runs somewhere between, say, 15 and 100 times as fast as the new fast rate from the past.
Nearly 30% of the 27,600 land-based mammals, bird, amphibians, and reptile species studied are decreasing in terms of their numbers and territorial range. The researchers called that an extremely high degree of population decay. The scientists also analyzed 177 mammal species and found that all of them had at least lost a third of their territory between 1900 and 2015, and nearly half of those species experienced severe population declines. But researchers say that it's not just the species being wiped out that poses a problem, but also populations dwindling so they can't fill their role in an ecosystem.
We are not likely to lose the honeybee as a species, but we're already losing it in lots of places where it's very important, say, for pollinating your almond orchards.
According to the study, researchers say that it's not too late to avoid this extinction from happening, but it'll take great effort to conserve the already threatened species to alleviate some of the pressures of their population. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.
Hey, time for Happy Hour on this Friday, and joining me tonight is RT producer Jenny Churchill and Evan McMorris-Santoro, reporter and blogger for Talking Points Memo.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Happy Friday. You know, we've spoken a few end-of-the-world theories on the show before, especially when everyone thought that the rapture was coming, but the theories never died down, and especially because we haven't gotten to 2012 yet. And so now here's a new one that apparently people are just going crazy over online. Take a look.
Okay, look at the Earth distance, 1.812. Helios right now getting nearer to us by 300,000 miles per day. In about a week, that number is going to be 400,000 miles per day, and it's going to continue to increase. You're going to see more and more volcanoes going off. That's your sign to wake people up. You have 33 volcanoes erupting right now in the Earth, and that number is going to continue to go up as we move along in the timeline.
Is that just Woody Harrelson from that, what was that movie where the guy's sitting up in the bunker with like 2012 or something? It was one of those end of the world movies.
Sure.
Well, this is there's the comet Elenin, which is apparently like 300 miles away, excuse me.
No, I think it's 300, I think it's like 3 million miles away.
Okay, 3 million
it's
miles.
Definitely million.
That's
It's definitely, it's not 300 miles away. That would be a little too conservative. But it's somewhere out there. By late August, we're supposed to be able to see it as like a fuzzy star in the sky that has a little tail. What do you think? Is the government hiding it from us?
Obviously, if you knew something like that, would you tell everyone? No, you'd have a bunker for yourself and keep it for yourself.
What do you say?
Would that actually work, though? I mean, I'm sort of confused by the obsession with the end of the world. I mean, if it's going to happen, isn't it just going to happen, or are we just going to...
Well, some people will survive. That's the whole point,
Have you not seen the movie Deep Impact?
I guess that's
What
true.
is wrong with you?
And besides, the real end of the world's in August when the debt ceiling doesn't get raised and, you know, everything collapses. We all know that anyway, right?
Hardy har. I don't know. I kind of like all these asteroid comet stories. You guys know me. So I don't know. But he later went on in this clip to explain how apparently NASA, the people that work there, have been warning their family and their friends, but it's been like on secret message boards.
Deep Impact. I think this guy has actually watched Deep Impact a few too many times. I'm not kidding. It's like he's following the plot consistently.
That's a pretty good movie, too. Let's move on to some